get all that rain up there yesterday, Ethan?
Yeah, it's crazy right now. There's a lot of stuff is down and shit, so it's not like a tornado, but it was a lot of wind. That was the worst.
Yeah, we had the wind last weekend.
Okay.
But this was, we got just gobsmacked. Probably had almost 3 inches of rain in 36 hours.
Yeah. Well, look at this. Welcome in. We're back. Another edition of the PrizePicks NFL Strategy Show. And we have you for the next 25 or so. Myself and EMac here. Mike Awesemo is producing. So we're going to build a money-making ticket on PrizePicks.com. The kings, queens, the royalty of over-unders. No better place to work it than PrizePicks.com. And as EMac is going to go through a bunch of different plays that he has thoroughly researched, we remind you, jump in, use our promo code Awesemo. We'll match your first deposit up to $100. Busy week for you, my friend, not just here on all of the Awesemo channels and content, but it looks like there's going to be some new gear out very soon with your face on it.
Yeah, stay tuned. There's going to be some Awesemo apparel with yours truly featured on it. This should be a little bit of fun. We won't let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, did I already? Jeez, I'm sorry.
No, because this already has a groundswell, and people have been voting in the Discord channel, the premium Discord channel, if you will, available with any Awesemo subscription, the express package or full premium.
Good. I didn't want to be the person that told, hey, so Santa Claus or Phil, did I spoil that too? I'm sorry.
Too soon.
Bruce Willis is dead at the end of the movie. I'm sorry. Did I spoil that too?
The boat sinks?
Yes, I'm sorry. All of this, I apologize. If you still wanted to see the movie, go ahead. Don't blame me. All right, my friend. So busy week for you, and we're back again. We have the NFL to look at now across the board on Sunday, and you have always come up with different categories, of course, of ways in which we can take advantage of not only numbers on PrizePicks, EMac, but also balancing them out with what we have on site at Awesemo as far as projection. So let's start, as always, with the quarterback, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a couple different quarterback options here. For one, Matthew Stafford. He is got a delicious matchup, shall we say, there with the Houston Texans here. You've got Stafford on PrizePicks with 290.5 yards. Now, the Awesemo projections, I've checked them 3 times. They've been updated twice today. They have him coming in for 333 passing yards. Now, while we had this discussion last week, anytime you're projecting over about 310, it gets a little dicey as the median projection. This one is just off the actual charts. But if we look at it this way and say, hey, you know what, we've got a pretty good percentage chance of him making this happen for us. It's running at, as we look at the Awesemo expected win rate is 80%.
Wow, yeah.
On this. And I didn't have to calculate that math because we do that for you over on Odd Shopper, which lines up nicely with quite a few of our PrizePicks. So you can do this the old-fashioned way and check the Awesemo player stat projections, which we have, and look against PrizePicks. That's perfectly fine. That's what I've done the last 7 weeks. We could also look at the Awesemo fantasy points and do the same thing, or we can dance on over here to Awesemo Odd Shopper, sort by expected ROI, and lo and behold, not all of the picks, but probably half to a third to half of them are appearing over there on PrizePicks. Now, we don't have to worry about the juice on PrizePicks. This is just a yes or no. We're building our player card of 2, 3, 4, or 5, and there's no vig. It's like an all or nothing. Hey, just like a regular bet, but it's all to win, to double or triple or whatever the numerical value is. Their rake, if you will, is more or less coming in us losing. So unlike where the betting sites are trying to get a handle and the rake and the vig and the vigorish and all that fun stuff, it's a little more pure over here on PrizePicks. But it's a nice little leverage tool, and these update live with the Alex Baker DFS projections coming out into statistical form. It's pretty cool here.
Yeah,
I,
it really is.
I didn't get quite as many picks because I was like a kid in a candy store. I want this one and I want this one. And now I'm trying to do analysis for them. And I'm like, let's look at what Alex has to say.
It's amazing how streamlined it can be just by following Alex, right?
Indeed. So that was a long way of saying Matthew Stafford looks terrific.
At 290 and a half.
May not get there. 310 feels pretty good, and we're trying to beat 290 and a half. Yeah, so I'm good on that one. Next one, of course, I always have to include Jalen Hurts, and he's on here a couple times. You and I tend to lean towards his rushing props, which I think is very good. The rushing is 42 and a half on PrizePicks. Awesemo has him for 62 and a half. The passing is a little bit interesting. I wanted to throw out one. I try to at least do some comparables here where I can. Jalen Hurts passing on PrizePicks is 254. Awesemo has him at 267.4. I don't feel overly great about that, especially since we can only use a player once per card. If we wanted to do both these, we would need to create 2 cards for this. But how do you feel about that passing attempt? Because I like Jalen Hurts quite a bit this week in this matchup. He's scored 20 fantasy points every week or every game this year, and he's while he may not be the most accurate guy, he's getting a lot of rushing yards, getting a lot of rushing touchdowns. 2-point conversions 3 weeks in a row. What's not to like about him? What do you think about this passing yard, though, distilling it all the way down to the 257?
It's a low number. I totally get that. But at the same time, I'm trying to think of all of the stuff that you laid out about Hurts comes a lot, if not the majority, right, in the fourth quarter. Because this team has been down, they come back, and I've been watching. Defenses are soft. They're just trying to get the hell out of there with a victory. So it's not like Hurts is, grabbing 10 other guys on the field, EMac, and saying, all right, this is it. We have a chance to come back, leading some Patton-esque charge here. That's not happening. But what I do think, if I had a choice, I'm going to keep with what's bulletproof, and that's him running. He's the team's leading rusher, no matter what time of the game it is. The passing yards, if I had to make a play, I would go under, but it seems somewhat sharp compared to what we have as our projections. I just don't think that he gets there in close games. I think his legs are definitely going to be used, but there's a concern about if he's not coming from behind, right? Like we've seen that maybe you don't get 254. He's gone under 200 yards a couple of times this year. So that's something to keep in mind with as well. I would go under personally.
Yeah. So using that
rush.
Yeah, using that as sort of the transition to the rush, I would rather take the rushing over at 42 and a half. We've got another quarterback on here, Joe Burrow. Now, this one's kind of interesting. PrizePicks has him at 5.5. Awesemo's got him at 9.7. This one was interesting in the fact that he doesn't get as many rushing yards as we would think. I think I'm going off memory now because I closed down it. Oh, no, I actually still have his player card up. There we go. So on the season, he has 44 total rushing yards. He has exceeded 5.5 in 3 games. He got 4 in one of the games, 2 of the games, no yards, 1 game, 2 yards rushing. They have gone more to the pass here. Yeah. So I think, and Burrow, not that he's the most mobile of guys, but that 5.5 number looked pretty good. That one's an interesting one. I'd ponder that one a little bit. It's got about a 70% win rate on it, but it doesn't feel great. Now, the reason I did want to include that on here is that 70% win rate gets us like a very marginal ROI of around 35% when you're taking out the vig on the other sports books. It's got about a 70% ROI on PrizePicks because it's all or nothing on that one. So it's one you want to think about. Now, of course, we're pairing it with something else, so the odds tend to go down a little bit because you got to win 2 of 2 or 3 of 3 or what have you. You can't just do one on mono as Andrew Dice Clay used to say, fisticuffs, if you will. But that one I think is kind of interesting when we don't have to worry about paying the hook there. David Johnson's another one who's interesting. 28.5 rushing yards on PrizePicks. Awesemo has him for 19.1. Now, we do want to remember that Mark Ingram is no longer with Houston. He has rejoined the Saints. He was traded earlier this week. It sounds like he will be active for the Saints. Of course, he played with them a few years back in Alvin Kamara's rookie year, and I believe his second year as well. Same coach. Obviously no more Drew Brees, but essentially similar playbook. They're looking for someone to run the ball into the line. Just wanted to call that out. That's neither here nor there, but your little hint of, hey, check out Alvin Kamara. We may see him build upon the 19 targets he's had over the last 2 games. Circling back to David Johnson, he's in that matchup against the Rams. It's not that great of a matchup, even though it's going to be him. If you go look at all of the game logs across for Houston, and you start to try to decipher what do we think they're going to do? How are they going to make it here? Even if we look last week, there were Ingram was 6 of 9, Johnson was 7 of 25. The week before, now this is Ingram, that was against Arizona. Ingram against Indy, 18 for 73. Johnson was 2 of 7. Philip Lindsay, who's the other guy, and he may actually step into more of the rushing role than David Johnson, since Johnson's been more or less the passing guy. He was 7 for 35. Lindsay was 5 of 19 the week before. Lindsay has more carries more often than not than Johnson. So I think it's going to be him getting into that role more than anyone else. I do like this under. There's a lot of ways for it to fail. Even if you go look at his passing yards or receiving yards, it's about the same number. And Awesemo has him projected for about the same 19 or so yards as well. So you could kind of look either way. I'd feel better taking the under on the rushing, but this is one of those things. Again, we like to mention, it's always fun rooting for the overs.
Yes, it is.
There's value in the unders too.
People wouldn't bet the unders if they didn't hit, right?
Exactly.
I'm really of everything that we've laid out, and I know it's super low here, but especially compared to the gap that we'll see, Joe Burrow, and the reason why I bring Burrow back up is because the books will have this too, where guys who don't normally run have super low numbers, and it's almost like outside, and this is where you have to worry. This is the only thing you have to worry about is the kneel. The kneel is always in play here. But with that said, the kneel could bite you any point. I get that. But this is why and it's something that Ross and I talk about on the Awesemo Betting Show and the Awesemo Odds channel as well. And this plays right into it, EMac, as far as what you brought up, which is it takes one. It takes one panic run. It takes one, oh my goodness, went through my 6 progressions and I can't get anybody, let me tuck it. Sacks aren't going to take that away from you. And if you get a 10-yard run, you could still kneel the ball 3 times and hit the over on that.
Yeah, exactly. Good call out on that one. I mean, that, the odds of all his receivers being covered, not that great, but he can't stand there and see every single one of them. And he's got, Boyd and Jamar Chase and Steve Higgins and CJ at tight end and Joe Mixon. At some point, he's just going to be oh my God, this pass rush, and he's going to scoot forward. All we need is just that one, as you said, just that one.
Speaking of one, you only need one rushing touchdown for a lot of guys. So anybody else on the rushing yardage that we should hit before we
the only guy I was starting to look at was Cordarrelle Patterson, but he's pretty close to a push on Awesemo here. He's 44.5 on PrizePicks. Some of the books have him as high as 48 or 49. The Awesemo projection of 40 yards there starts to look pretty good. But at PrizePicks, it's a little tougher. But it's just a reminder, it doesn't mean sometimes PrizePicks is going to be higher than the books. Sometimes they're going to be lower. It's never a 1-for-1. But if you have all of those options available for you, you can start looking around at different places. But again, using the odd shopper sort of as your governing force, you're like, oh, yeah, it's like a 70% chance of winning, but I got to get 4 more yards than I do against the book. Ooh, all of a sudden that becomes like a 37% chance of winning. It goes down dramatically. There are inefficiencies in the player props, but they're still pretty good at doing it.
Absolutely. All right. I know people are piling in here on the chat as well. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and you're subscribed here to the Awesemo channel. If you have one that you've seen as Mike is scrolling, building our own ticket, you have thoughts, maybe you were looking at one, you want an answer, some advice, some insight on a play, hit us up. And I'm sure EMac has plenty of time as his campaign, EMac 2024, continues. So, of all people on channel, you know that EMac is not going to blow you over anything. He's going to sit, he's going to shake hands, he's going to kiss babies, he's going to do it all. All right, let's look at rushing touchdowns.
All right, this is going to be a good one. You got Dalvin Cook. He is just a half of a touchdown, which means it's a yes or no question.
Right.
Awesemo has him for a 62% chance of getting a rushing touchdown. Now, we'll talk about anytime touchdowns in a minute, but this is rushing only. So this is, is this Monday Night Football or is it Sunday Night Football? I've lost track of the slates. Let me look at that real quick.
No, that is Sunday, I thought.
I thought it
Oh,
was Sunday
Sunday.
Night Football.
It's Monday. It's Sunday night is Dallas and Minnesota, correct?
Yes, perfect. So I was looking at Devin Booker. He's got some interesting numbers out there as well. I didn't want to make a 2-day card, but I do like the Dalvin Cook one. Of all the people that were in the score a touchdown, he was the one I felt the most confident in going against Minnesota. I do like that one. I think that one will definitely be in play on my cards that I am making. So that was my rushing touchdown. My anytime touchdown, branching out just a little bit here, going with Chuba Hubbard. Okay. So he is a half of just touchdowns, which means he can score rushing or receiving, and it will count. I guess technically he could probably throw one. We'll have to double check that. But it just says touchdown on there. I didn't read the fine print, but we know it's at least rushing and receiving. So 36% chance of rushing, 11% chance of receiving. Yes, well, that is a tick shy of 50-50. We do have the multiple avenues for him to score. And it feels like this would be an intriguing matchup for him with his team going into Atlanta.
Yeah.
In that one, they're playing indoors. You know, we did say it was PJ Walker last week. Sorry, Sam Darnold. The experience of you getting all those rushing touchdowns to start out the season's taking them from the running backs. Right. Well, that's about time for that to be given back. Darnold's still going to start this week, but
may not finish. To be honest,
he may not finish. The swirls of yet another landing spot potentially there for Deshaun Watson, etc. I'm liking Hubbard for the anytime touchdown.
Remember,
back to your squad.
Coach PJ in Temple.
I'm sorry, what?
Remember, Matt Rule coached PJ Walker at Temple.
Oh, that makes sense of why.
So there is, if he has a reason to work that in. Now, Darnold, to your point at the beginning, the rushing touchdowns, what are they, with 3 straight before they dropped 4 straight? So clearly there was no real reason to go to PJ Walker. All I'm saying is he can't wait to go to his guy.
Yeah, this is like Ron Rivera looking to get Kyle Allen in. Former backup for him at Carolina when he was. Now that they're both at Washington, so one of those where we could see a short hook in that game as well.
Absolutely.
But moving to your team, it sounds like Miles Sanders is going to miss a couple weeks. They did put him on the injured reserve,
short-term IR. Yeah.
So we have Kenneth Gainwell. PrizePicks has him for 3.0 receptions. I went and looked at a few different books, and they have him at 3.5 to 4. So if that's where the books are, PrizePicks is a little under that. Awesemo has him for 5 receptions. This is your team.
Yes.
How are we going to get? Are we going to get 5 receptions? Is 5 receptions live? We only need 4. This would not surprise me if this one moves off of 3 and goes to 3.5 or 4, depending on where people get to. We do know that the PrizePicks are not static; they will move up and down. Depending on where people are pushing them. They're not quite as a dramatic move as they are on the books, because they're trying to entice you. They're like, look, we know we're going to be off by a little bit. If we're not, then you're not going to come play here, right? So, but again, some are going to be up, some are going to be down on this one. I like the over. It while not a gimme, a 3 is a push. Our card's still live.
Yeah, I think you're dead on here. The number is too low. And
I can't believe I'm using words like cards, pick, vigorous.
You never thought you'd be in that spot, huh?
No, I most certainly did not. But
Here we are, EMac. Cherish the moment, my friend. You'll never forget it. That moment of self-realization. I love the play at 3. I think, look, if this number's at 4, you can still argue that a push is in play. And with the absence of Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell is going to see more time than Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. I can promise you that, especially in the passing game. He was already taking away snaps from Miles Sanders when Sanders was healthy in the red zone, in the 2-minute drill, anytime that they needed to move the ball fast. Rushing yards, I'd stay the hell away from a Philadelphia Eagle back as far as humanly possible. But when it comes to Gainwell, 2 things I look at for Gainwell. Anytime touchdown, because he's in play every single time. And this receptions at a 3, absolutely, because I can get you 6 targets. I could get you 6 targets against the Lions, EMac. That should be good enough for 4.5 grabs. Absolutely. 4.5 is where you get in trouble. And you're right, this thing should move. But this is a savvy play right here, taking advantage of a starter who wasn't technically a starter anyway, and the guy we're playing is still technically getting backup numbers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one that just it seemed, and I see somebody had called that out in chat. Yeah, Dan Frumer there. Yeah, that was one of the ones I try to lead off with a really good one, and I try to close out with a really good one.
But look at the difference, right? You're not going to get 3, and if you're getting 3, then you're going to lay some ridiculous minus 150 at a book. PrizePicks has it at 3, and EMac has been banging this drum all day. No vig. You're not laying anything. The push is in play. That's the big difference at PrizePicks.
So one more, and then Chad, if you guys have any, go ahead and throw them out there. We can look for them. I'm pulling up a couple.
I got a couple that I was looking at.
All right, perfect. So the Matt Stafford. Now this one is PrizePicks has him at 24. We already know that the Awesemo yardage is up there at 333. I would prefer the yardage on this one, but I did want to call out 27 completions. So again, 24 is sort of an interesting number here, because even in just a normal run-of-the-mill game, we know that we know that and I almost said St. Louis, we know that the Rams I'm going to join everything back to that. Somehow they're all connected. The Rams right. and Sean McVay, who are in Los Angeles now, are likely to be passing a fair amount, getting 24 completions between the short passes to Kupp, the intermediate ones to Woods, and all of a sudden, who knew Cooper Kupp was a long ball receiver as well? We've got the Higbee, we've got the running backs, etc. Getting to over 24 doesn't seem like too much of an ask until we start getting a pick six, scoop and score. If the defense gets on the board with a touchdown or gives them a few short fields, then we start to run into a little bit of an issue there with Stafford. But otherwise, I think that 25 and a half, 26, that's about where I draw the line. For 24, come on, it's 6 per quarter. We just need, a couple drives each quarter with 3 complete. We can do that, right? We can math our way into that.
I think we can. Absolutely. The matchup against Houston, the only problem that I have is, and, real quick, let's combine these two, not on the same ticket, Mike. I'm just saying as far as for the purposes of conversation. Stafford, he hits 26, 27. He hits high 20s if they have to, right? If they're in a game with Houston. But if not, then chances are it's going to be more of a get out of there when you can, right, situation, because you're not going to play games with Houston. You're going to do what you can to get out. Davis Mills, on the other hand, might be an interesting play. Like, if you believe that Matthew Stafford and the Rams here are going to handle Houston, 20.5 seems a little low for Mills as well, doesn't it? Or are we just talking? See, the problem is that he has to hit these. That's this is not attempts. This is completions.
Completions,
so
and
I
there
get
could
31?
be injury. Yeah,
okay.
Maybe he gets pulled for who even knows at this point. Lucky fan in section 113 at the half. I don't know.
But I like Stafford. It's just we have him projected at 27, which makes me think he's throwing the ball 32, 33 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot against a brutally bad football team. So maybe this is built into projection that the Rams are maybe letting down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is a little tighter of a game.
Yeah, and that's where the yardage to me feels that even though we're at 333, we only got to get 290. We only got to get 290. Come on.
Yeah.
NFL quarterbacks, good NFL quarterbacks, and Stafford is definitely one, can fall out of bed and get 270.
Well, that's the thing.
Right.
And Nick brings that up on the chat about we run into a similar issue with the over on Stafford yardage as well. The difference, for me at least, between the yardage and the completions is that you have 2 big play. You actually have 4, technically. I know they're trying to get rid of Deshaun, but Van can go deep downfield. 2 grabs can get you 65 yards. Robert Woods is a big play, and Cooper Kupp is arguably the biggest big play guy we have in this league right now, at least this year. So that's the difference, where you could get up 27-3, and Matthew Stafford could throw for 350 because it's just bombs away. but only hit 18 nights. So I think it's a little sharper with the completions, although I'll lean with you, EMac, for sure.
All right. Did you have any else that popped for you? Because Chuba Hubbard at 14 points. This is full PPR, 14 fantasy points on PrizePicks. Now we sort of mentioned him for an anytime touchdown. Perhaps I'd be willing to go for over 14 fantasy points. Awesemo has him for just shy of 16. It gives you a little more wiggle room, a few more outs. Now to get over 14. Let's say he gets 3 receptions. Now we still got to get 110 combined yards. Doable.
Yeah.
If he gets a touchdown, makes it that much easier. The other one is you're just betting on that. You're literally just betting on the touchdown, either or, receiving or rushing. But this gives you a couple more outs.
Yep.
Maybe he gets 6 catches for 50 yards, and all of a sudden you just need him to run for 30. So there are different ways of combinations of getting there. So that's one I see that doesn't quite jump out on the page, but it's one that's definitely on the short list for me, aside from Gainwell and the Stafford yardage.
I think we've jammed it in, my friend. We've killed it here with another couple of tickets, and thanks to Mike Awesemo for building those. Take a look at TJ. I won't get into it because we're out of time, but take a look at TJ Hawkinson receptions. He's playing hurt, and I don't think that they're going to get up big like we've seen. And the beauty of PrizePicks, so often the push is in play. So even if he hits 5 and you go under, guess what? You're going to push that. Appreciate everybody rolling with us. Thank you, EMac, at EMac, of course, right? Anything else?
No, at EMac DFS.
Yeah, I don't know why it's short on screen here.
I tried to get at EMac. I have EMac as my username on DK and FanDuel. I wasn't early enough on Twitter.
Okay. No, that's fine. Thanks to Mike Awesemo, of course, here for producing. We will see you again in a week. But
1 week?
Yeah, right. We're back next week. Thanks again for riding with us. We'll see you then.